Black magic, God, Holy Ghost, Lord, orgasmic, order more acid, more than 4 tablets, portal door passage, born before mortal war happened. We were lords way before we were poor black men. Now we like Catherine, only having 4 Jacksons. Sword of pure magic, slaughter 4 dragons. Heat like corduroy fabric, door-to-door tactics. Easy like tortoise on boarded floor backspins. Rapping like the man that created it, and I just play with it. Shine radiant, raising it, sunbathing it. Voice tone sharper than razor tip when I aim it at megaliths, make them raise and lift. You can't relate to this, even if you paint a pic of me and you and somehow make the faces switch. I like to babysit, throne made of baby skin, donated by natives that procreate in sin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need the cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him. I heard the devil's Tasmanian. Raps made him spin fast, vast, hailing winds. Abstract radiance, underneath my cracked cranium is gas radium.
With what Kanye's doing, I'm thinking about what you guys talk about with this Messiah complex. Is it possible to be disappointed in somebody, a black person, a black celebrity, somebody famous? It could be Sonetta, it could be Umar Johnson, whoever. Is it possible to be disappointed in somebody without having that Messiah complex? Because I'm disappointed in the things I'm hearing, but I damn sure ain't got a Messiah complex. Like I'm waiting for somebody to do something for me. But I'm like, damn, man, I really looked up to this brother in terms of who he used to be. Could you talk to me about things that us be having a Messiah complex and us just being disappointed in people like such as Kanye West and what he's saying?
Well, sometimes we gotta identify, the difference between Messiah complex and just the difference between somebody that's on your team. Put into the context that we are at war. We're in a culture war. We're in a quiet weapon, silent war. You know what I'm saying? We're in a war of genders. We're in a war against white inferiority versus black consciousness, right? We're in a war between our lower and our higher selves. So when you're disappointed, we're also, all right, let's use this analogy. We're in the season right now of the NBA Finals. So when we talk about certain individuals that are out there, let's use it in the context that these people are on the team playing for the team against the quote-unquote ops. Now, based off of not just what you think, but more so in this quote-unquote social media era, based off of what you say and based off of what you do. That's how people are able to identify whose team you play for, right? So if I see somebody walking down these streets, up and down 125th Street, let's say a brother that I grew up with, right? Somebody who we were in the locker room talking about the ladies together. We was in the lunchroom doing plays and bagging the shorties and whatnot. And one day he decides that he wants to walk by holding the hand of another man. I would say based off of his actions and the things that he's doing, not just what he's saying, he's playing on the other team. He's not necessarily on my team, because I'll begin to say, well, goddamn it, we used to be in the yard together, checking for, the shorties and whatnot, but now I see that you are checking for the homies, the broskies, right? So what Kanye is, what he's doing, not just in his actions, but definitely in his words, and it began with his tweets, which are what? Your thoughts. So it started in the mind first. He started showing people, because remember, this man was in a shallow grave, or he was off the scene. He was silent for many, many months ago. We did a video in a train station where we were talking about graveyard pussy and the Kardashians and the fact that they've been known to curse people. Then when you do more research, dealing with spirit cooking, and you find out the region that these women originate from, you find out that they were quote-unquote gypsies and women from Armenia that were known to put spells on men, right? Historically. So we was like, well, God damn it, something is going on with our good brother because he's in a sunken place. Then he disappeared after he made some remarks in a concert, and he basically got taken out. So when we identified that he got taken out, when he popped back up, what did he pop back up doing? He popped back up, and without saying anything, his actions showed that this was a different man than St. Pablo, or the person that we saw speaking at the St. Pablo's tour. His first public appearance was with Donald Trump in his lobby. He had blonde hair and an empty stare, right? He was basically looking like a different person. So we was like, well, God damn it, what's going on with the homie? Then he went silent, and he didn't really do anything, and he didn't even share his thoughts through his tweets. He only would show up here and there on Instagram photos, but we weren't necessarily hearing Kanye West expound on his beliefs to begin to determine if what we were fearing was true. Now, of course, you got people talking about the man got cloned, and you got people talking about, oh, this is not, we need the real Kanye, free Kanye, this is not the real Kanye. Make Kanye great again. They're wearing the hats.
Kanye don't like black people.
And George Bush told you that Kanye doesn't like black people. He even jumped in on the whole conversation, all right? So now, he went from, so then he resurrected or came back on the scene tweeting, sharing his thought. He was having streams of consciousness, almost like a conscious diarrhea, right? And he said a few things that were philosophical so much that it got the attention of not only me, but my good brother Rich and some other people, because we were beginning to say, oh shit, what's going on? My guy is waking up. It seems as if he may be coming back to his former self. Then he put the tweet out about Candace Owens, AKA Red Pill Black, and we have to talk about that. And people lost their minds, because then they started saying to themselves, he set off a trigger, he set off a red flag to say, wait a minute, this shit might be true, what we've been thinking, because look at this tweet. Then he followed that up with the Donald Trump tweet about them having dragon energy and him loving Trump and whatnot. And then he started to talk, running his mouth. So it went from the realm of thought to the realm of speech, or the realm of talking. And then he began to expound on his consciousness and where he was at, whether he was on this side or that side. And he began to reveal to the world who either did not remember or were in denial that he was not on your team anymore. Now, why it hurts so much is because our team has been taking what is known as a lot of L's lately, right? There are all kind of things taking place in the realm of war, because war is 90% deception, right? And in the realm or the theater of war, they've been carrying out what is known as a psyops on our people globally, because it's not just in America. When they showed you that footage of them slaves in Libya, the shit was a global campaign to put you in a place of fear, to put you in a place of perpetual, to put you in a sunken place. Anxiety, depression, fear, all of the hallmarks of what takes place in a psychological operation against a people who don't have answers to the assault or to the offense or to what's taking place to you in the media. Meaning, or example, or i.e., black men and women getting shot down by law enforcement. But even before law enforcement shooting down black men and women, a citizen by the name of George Zimmerman shooting down a young black teenager by the name of Trayvon Martin, and that was the catalyst to some of the shit that we're seeing taking place right now that could be identified as a psychological operation that has inflicted untold damages on the black population globally. Facts. So when they show you that the police is walking after bodying one of you heinously, I'm talking about not the regular, I'm talking about heinously, leaving you in the middle of the street for hours upon hours, bleeding out, shooting you in your grandmother's backyard. All of these things are causing people to want to get back. Black men want revenge. Black people want some kind of recourse. They're like, yo, is it just us or is it just us? You know what I mean? And they're coming up with all new slogans. They're marching, they're crying, they're having die-ins. Am I next? They're coming up with all of this stuff. But guess what? You're not getting any get back. You're not getting any kind of answers for the questions that you have. The question is, when are we going to get a W on the board? They're telling you, my nigga, not only you getting knocked out on round one, you getting blown out in the motherfucking, I mean, they're doing you like they did the Cavs in game 6. We're getting blown out because there's no get back. Zimmerman is still walking around doing anything that he pleases. You know what I'm talking about? All of the police who were acquitted for the outright lynching of our people, they're getting their money back, they're getting back pay, they're popping on GoFundMe. I mean, they're legends on that side. Dylan Roof is a legend on that side. There's 100 plus murders by the alt-right, and all of them niggas who are locked up I haven't got one kite where somebody saw them spit out a gym star and wrote their motherfucking autograph on the side of their cheeks. Nobody's getting punished behind the walls. People's court is not catching up to so there's a bunch of L's on this side. So we cannot afford a personage or a person with that much influence as a Kanye West to hop on the other side to do what? He's powering, he's giving them a power that they necessarily didn't have, because keep in mind, even with all of the stuff that's taking place and the fact that attention is the new currency, and the way that they get more powerful is by our people feeding all of that emotion to them. That's how they get their power. Let's fast forward to the scene in, spoiler alert, the scene in the Avengers when they were taking the glove off of Thanos and they were doing what? The what's her name? Scarlet Witch was hypnotizing him with the slow music and whatnot, and he was becoming what? Powerless, because they were not feeding the emotion of fear or anger or any of these lower chakra energies to him. So they were about to defeat him, and then what happened? Somebody gave him the negative, angry emotion. What did that do to Thanos? That gave him his power. What are we doing to the Europeans, or what are we doing to the quote-unquote alt-right, or what are we doing to all of our oppositions? We're giving them power when we feed hate emotion, fear emotion, all of this.
Well, I mean, that's Kanye saying he's feeding love.
Listen, the triggers, the fake Negro outrage, all of that stuff that's not real. The European, the Luciferian is able to feed off of that. So we are not going to idly stand by and allow somebody who we put in a position of power to blatantly and outwardly, in the middle of infinity wars, in the middle of civil wars, in the middle in the middle of this conflict, how could we just allow that man to hop on that side and not have anything to say about it? You understand what I'm saying? That's a conflict of interest. He's utilizing what is known as cognitive dissonance. He's utilizing what is known as deflection. He's utilizing what is known as intellectualizing the coonery. And what about all of the, because the people are, remember, his followers and the masses can sometimes be the asses. So what about the people who he's going to bring over into the other side with him? What about the people who were already on the fence, who were conflicted, who did not have love for their race, who did not have love for self, who were blaming all of the problems around the world on their own people and did not have the testicular fortitude to identify some of the other culprits? That's all I'm saying.
So I definitely agree that hate is definitely not the answer. You ever, you know, we live this life and we learn through experience. If you ever hated somebody, you notice how weak it makes you.
Mad weak.
Makes you sick inside. Makes you feel a certain way.
Facts.
You'll kill you.
They don't feel that energy.
You'll kill you. No, the person you hate doesn't feel it. You feel it.
You go to sleep with that.
That's why they be like, yo, you have to forgive the person who did you wrong, not for them, but for you.
For you.
And your ego's like, nah, fuck that.
Yeah.
I ain't forgive you, know what I'm saying?
Facts.
But it'll hurt you personally if you don't.
Facts.
I say that to say, it seems like this experience is so confusing for us as quote-unquote black people that we don't want to hate, but then when we go to love, we get hurt just the same, it seems. Look at Bill Cosby, look at OJ, look at the people who completely ignored their blackness, completely said, I'm not black, I'm OJ, I'm not black, I'm Cosby, I'm not black, I'm Kanye. And the list goes on and on and on.
On and on
they
and on.
end up getting
Story
hurt.
of OJ.
They still end up getting hurt. So what I'm asking you is, what should our people do? We don't want to hate. That's not in our nature. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be in this condition. So it's not in our nature to hate.
Yes.
But we also don't want to coon at the same time.
Yeah.
So what should be our response, Red Pill, when we see all this oppression happening to our people year after year after year?
Well, oppression, right, can be translated.
Hold up, because Candace always say we don't need to focus on slavery. So that's why I just wanted to mix that.
Let me clean her up in
Red
a minute.
Pill,
Yeah.
you know, the other Red Pill.
I got so much for Candace, like, you know what I'm talking about? But we are identifying that oppression is hate. We're identifying in order to oppress somebody, you have to have levels of hate that exceed, you know what I mean? That exceed the norm. You know what I'm talking about? Because everybody got a little bit of hate in their blood, but you exceeded the norm. You're operating with some of the 7 evils. There's levels of envy, jealousy, you know what I'm saying? There's all of these ingredients inside of that cocktail of hate that you have brewing in your bloodstream. So when we identify that we're being oppressed, or there's an oppressive force that's coming at our people or coming at the good of our people, then we could say the only way that's going to be defeated is, yes, you have to begin to exemplify, and you have to begin to what? You have to begin to exercise self-love. 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 And when self-love is implemented, then you will begin to have love for others. Nobody never said anything about not loving others, but what we identify in the case of an OJ, what we're identifying in the case of a quote-unquote Kanye is the lack of self-love. You're trying to do that, you're deflecting again. You know that somebody out there hates you because in the Charlemagne interview, he's identifying that everywhere that he went, he was reminded of what? Still nigga. What does that translate to? Nigga, they was hating on you everywhere that you went.
The fashion industry, he talked about it. He talked about after the Taylor Swift incident, nothing has been the same with radio and other places as well. So yeah.
They don't love you. That's not love. Love does not show itself. Love is gratitude. Love is admiration. Love is, they're adorning you wherever that you go, right? He's going into these arenas or these areas or these markets thinking that they love him, and they're showing him through what? Their hate. You still a nigga. We can't love you to the degree that you want to be loved because you don't even love yourself. So self-love. Self-love is going to translate into love for the race first, because you have to love your reflection. You have to love he and she who looks like you before you start loving he and she who do not look like you and who do not have the same frequency, they're not doing it for the same reason that you're doing it.
So Red, I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but is it safe to say this is psychological warfare and the oppressor has convinced Kanye, people like Kanye, Candace Owens, and others that their thoughts is really theirs, but it's really theirs? You get what I'm saying? Am I saying that right? It's not really their thoughts, it's the oppressor thoughts, but for some reason they think it's their thoughts. So is this psychological warfare happening, my brother?
Of course there's psychological warfare. You're seeing a group of individuals who, rather than confront the system or to confront the propaganda or to confront the adversary, who they may see as because remember, you got to pick out a protagonist and an antagonist in this situation. Who is Kanye identifying as the antagonist? If he's not saying it's the alt-right, if he's not identifying Trump's administration and everything that he represents, if he's not identifying the Republic, if he's not identifying white quote-unquote supremacy as the open adversary, who then in this equation is the adversary?
He said slavery was a choice. 400,
there you go.
400 years of oppression was a choice.
So there you go. So that goes back into him identifying that there's a lack of self-love. He doesn't have love for the history of his people. He's only when he's saying that you don't, instead of saying don't only focus on slavery, focus on this part of our history. There's about 100 other epic parts of our history that he can point out as somebody who comes from Chicago and whose mother and father were educated in the history of the culture. They know more than just slavery. I'm not giving up. This symbol right here was on his sneakers, fam. This was on the Yeezys, okay? This was on the tongue of the Yeezys. He was wearing a humongous Heru piece around his neck. He knows about the ancient Kemetic, He knows about the Nile Valley civilization. He probably knows about the Moorish epic. So what I'm saying is, you can follow up a statement about don't only focus on that one pit stop in our history. You can also focus on this. But the intellect, those who study their own people, those who have love for their own people, they will be able to say, you know what? Only focusing on 400 years of slavery is detrimental to the subconsciousness, but this is what focus on it can cause. PTSD. You could walk around the planet with triggers on you, and we know, to the people that are out here psychologically programming us, they're playing off of triggers. Those movies that you saw come out, 12 Years a Slave, all of these...
During the Obama era, they had to remind us.
Yeah, no. Peace, King. What's good? How you been? Indeed, I'm chilling, man. How's everything? No doubt. All right. So, look, the same psyops that has convinced weak-minded, self-hating, conforming of Negroes who only want to conform and assimilate, that you know what? You don't focus on anything. You don't deal with confronting anything that you may see that's running in the subconsciousness of the minds of our people that our people have been programmed. You understand what I'm saying? Our people have been put in a sunken place based off of the miseducation, based off of the programming of Hollywood, the same places that he's sitting up comfortably in their mountains in Calabasas, the same place, Tinseltown. They're some of the people that are responsible for putting your people in the conditions that they're in. So why are they focusing on that shit? Because they was watching slave porn for the last 20 years. The Help, 12 Years a Slaves, The Root reboot. You know what I'm talking about? I could go on for days. So, of course, I think that Kanye and Candace Owens and any other coon, because remember, we said it before, when Trump comes into office, instead of you see our people fighting against Trumpism, what are you going to see? What do weak people do? They conform. They get along to go along. They get down with the program. So that nigga's the king of conforming coons right now. And he's going to lead a tide of all of the hype beasts, all of these Negroes who really secretly hate quote unquote niggas, they're gonna jump on that bandwagon because, like I said many moons ago, there's a war inside Black America between the bourgeoisie, the elites, the quote unquote new niggas versus what they see as this old paradigm of the pants hanging, tattooed face, quote unquote nigga with the A, not the ER, the nigga with the NIGGA, the Killmonger prototype. So what does Kanye represent? He's trying to represent the quote unquote LBGT, pro-Roman, pro-Greco-Roman. Yeah, the other side, Peace King. He's trying to represent the non-threatening conformity. We just want to sit at the table. We want to chill in Calabash. We're in a sunken place with Chloe, with KKK, Chloe, Courtney, and Kim. You know what I'm saying? And what he's saying publicly is what a lot of niggas is twirling and in that world. That's what they say behind closed doors with their white friends over cocaine, Netflix, and wine, and some goddamn, caviar. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? That's the nigga jokes. Those are the jokes that they make behind. Oh, remember the Becky will come mad. She'll get all belligerent. Oh, you niggas always focusing on slavery. You know what I'm talking about? You need to get over it. You know what I'm talking about? You niggas, you had Obama. All of that fuck shit. All of that Calabash talk. And then he's gonna go to TMZ and he's trying to broadcast. You already know he's canceled. I think my man put the APB out on him. He put a Crip green light. He put a blue light on him.
Daz
put a blue light on him.
The black dude from TMZ had a good response for Kanye.
The black dude from TMZ ate his food.
I apologize. I don't know his name.
That he was utterly disappointed.
What he morphed into.
What he has devolved into. What he has morphed into.
Wow.
Remember, like I said, they had him in that silent, sunken place where remember, behavior modification. Go and look it up. And I said it on many occasions. When they get you in their hospital, I don't want to talk about clones right now. I want to talk about lobotomies. I want to talk about when they go in your head. I want to talk about psychotropics like therazine, like the nanoscience. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about therazine, Ritalin, Prozac, and all of these. But I'm saying what they did to him directly. When they took Huey and they locked him up and they went into his head and he didn't come out the same. I want to talk about that. Go and research behavior modification.
Did you see the documentary on Osho on Netflix?
Yeah, Osho.
They did the same thing to him.
Facts.
When the Hollywood people got a hold of him, they put him on that medicine and he was never the same.
He was never the same.
Started talking crazy.
Talking crazy. So if it's not the lean, if it's not the pills, it used to be the cocaine. Back in the Cosby days when they were experimenting and microdosing and playing with mind-altering drugs. Now they're hitting you with some other kind of pharmacopoeia and some other kind of mind-altering drugs. Remember, he said he was what? Addicted to what? When everybody turned their backs on him, he said, I was addicted to opioids. That was before the outburst on a St. Pablo tour. Then they got him on some Get Out shit and they did what? What did you see in Get Out? What was they doing? They was playing with the brain. They had him lined up with the European and they opened up the brain. Whenever they go into your head, you're done. There's no coming back from that. You know what I'm saying? They don't gotta body you. Once they go into your brain, it's over. So can he be now? Can he be MK Ultra? Can he be quote unquote a Manchurian? Can he be controlled by a handler? You damn right he can. And remember, they already checkmated him because they got his queen in Paris with the robbery tied up in a tub like they had Whitney. So you don't even know what happened with her. And she's the handler. So if they checkmate your queen, it's game over. And right after they got her, they got him. So he's been neutralized. So we're going to cancel that Netflix subscription of Kanye. You know what I'm talking about? And we're not even going to pay him no mind because I'm just saying, there's no coming back from the shit that you said earlier today. You can't crawl back from that one. So you're permanently, you know what I'm talking about? Like, Thanos touched him, he turned into dust. He's done. He's a done data. Infinity Gauntlet. KT's gonna be doing the breakdown on the 27th at Nicholas. May 27th, free, be in the building. Infinity Wars.
Red, what do you think about You know, we keep hearing this term free thought, and you know, people in the alt-right, Candace Owens, Kanye West, they're saying similar things, and they kind of act like the way they think is that thought process is the minority on in this country.
Yeah. This is white fragility, right? This is white fragility unlike anything that you've ever seen. This is white inferiority complex, because keep in mind, the talking points of a Candace Owens and the talking points of what's his name, Ben Simmons? No, that's the basketball player. Ben Shapiro. The talking points of a Kanye West are doing what? They're still reflecting on victimhood. They're still victim shaming. They are still saying, woe is me. They're telling you, black people, y'all shouldn't deal in victimhood. You should not deal. But they're dealing in victimhood. What is known as the red pill movement is anchored in victimhood. Yeah, so go and Google what is known as the red pill movement. That's what they running with. They try to jack your boy and rebrand him. They got the red pill movement on the white side. What is the red pill movement? It's a bunch of white men who hate white women who are utilizing victimhood consciousness. That's their talking points. What are the whole thing? Blood and soil, and not what was their talking points when they were rallying in Charlottesburg? Victimhood consciousness. What are they saying? Oh, the white men are becoming a minority. The white mortality rate. White people are dying faster. Victimhood consciousness. When Obama was in office, you saw white fragility at an all-time high. Oh, they're taking our jobs. White men are leading in deaths of despair. White men are actually leading in mortality rates. Why? Because they're dying of deaths of despair. So they're not even living in victimhood consciousness. They're internalizing it. They're dying of overdoses. They're drinking themselves to death. They're pill popping themselves to death. Suicides, they're running that shit. Okay, so they are leading in what is known as victimhood. So what are you talking about, free thought? That's a remix. Don't listen to that. There's two thoughts in this planet. Either you conscious or you're not. I don't know what anybody else is. Don't try to come in and interject all of this new stuff, because that's new age BS. You're renaming and rebranding something that's not even real. Either you with us or you're not. Stop trying to intellectualize your coonery. There's people in our community that did that a year ago. Do you remember that? Huh? He's doing the same thing. He's trying to intellectualize something that you know that's not real. He's trying to put you, like how they had the Mirage Stone in Infinity Wars. He's trying to put you in a false reality and paint a picture that's a mirage, that's not real. Trying to convince you, black man and black woman, that there's not a war on your head top right now. Coming from the spiritual realm, coming from the physical realm, coming from the intellectual realm, coming from the elemental realm, God damn it. What are you talking about? So what is free thought? Free thought is the ability to say, I'm free to not think like my oppressor. I'm free to not think like the peckerwood.
So Red,
I'm free to not think the way, remember, I'm free to not think like how they taught me to be a corporate slave.
Remember that meme that went around just now when they talked about Beyonce versus Kim Kardashian?
Facts.
The power of the woman, and look at the condition of Jay. Jay made a hell of a transformation from Big Pimpin'. Remember Big Pimpin'?
Yeah.
And look where he's at now.
Yeah.
Now look at Graduation, and look where Ye's at now. The opposites, complete opposites, my
Facts,
brother.
if you really be honest.
So what I'm saying is, my brother, what would you say to the brothers that's financially, they fucked up, and they got a queen, and their queen looking at them crazy, and because they queen looking at them crazy, they like, yo, I might have to do so. Let me join the police or do something. I gotta bring some type of money in my household. A man supposed to take care of his household, right? He supposed to take care of his kids, right? So talk to the brothers that out there that want to do that, but they don't want to coon at the same time, my brother.
Look, at the end of the day, all you gotta stay down. You know what I mean? 10 toes down. Like, that's not just a hood statement. That's some real life shit. Look, we all been through the struggle. Pressure bust pipes, my nigga, or it make diamonds. If you feeling some kind of pressure, you trying to say, oh, let me just sell. All you got is one soul. And all you got is your reputation. You know what I'm talking about? Guard that shit with your life. So you mean to tell me that you want me to conform my very well-being and who I am and who I know I am to do what? To make you happy or to bring some motherfucking food on the table? I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna figure this shit out the hard way. I'm gonna have to work this thing out, bro. You know what I'm talking about? The only reason that a challenge presents itself is because there is a glorious answer somewhere along that road, my nigga, that which will eventually make you greater. But what do people do? They go through door number one before they even get on that journey. I know some people that have been carrying crosses for decades and years. Why? Because they're waiting for that time. They know that that cross that they're carrying is a burden on their backs, but eventually it's gonna get them to the quote-unquote promised land, because and when they get to the promised land, they still have their dignity intact. They still have their soul intact. They still did not do something and got canceled by a whole race of people that they can't come back from. Because what good is it to inherit the world if you lost your soul along the way?
Go, brother. Say that one more time. Hold up.
What?
Say that one more time, my brother.
I'm gonna do the block boy. What good is it to inherit the world if ye lost his soul? If ye lost his soul? You know what I'm talking about? So no,
That's
you don't
factual.
sell out. You don't bend over. You don't touch your toes. You know what I'm talking about? You don't turn into no hoe for no dough. Bottom line, if that shit applies for the sisters, well, goddamn it should apply for your ass. Can you go to Starbucks even with the boycott and become a barrister, my nigga? Maybe. I don't know. Shit. Who knows? Maybe. You might have to do that. Do you go to McDonald's even though that they serving GMOs and you start flipping the goddamn burgers and serving the fries? Hey, you know what I'm talking about? That's a decision that you would have to make amongst you and yours. But I wouldn't. But some people would. Would I judge them? I know I wouldn't. But don't make it a career. You know what I'm talking about? You know? So, I don't know about that, man. I know that if you got a queen and she's on the chessboard and y'all playing that game together, look, thank you. She's supposed to play the game because that's the most powerful piece on the board. Why don't she open up some doors and make some moves and make your situation different? Because at the end of the day, that's why y'all in the game together. If you can't trust her to open up a door, that shouldn't be your queen. Y'all on the game together to conquer every single piece on the other side of the board. So, you know what I'm saying? Do she wear a bodysuit and go to UPS and find out if they hiring and whatnot? Hey, if that needs to be done to get your broke and unemployed ass in motherfucking UPS, well, goddamn it, then let it be. But at least y'all know the war strategy. At least you know the game plan, and she's not just sliding in niggas' DMs unwarranted. So ultimately, business is war. In this game of life that is known as chess, you are to play that game with your queen. If she does not understand the rules of the game in the game that she's playing, then goddamn it, you may get played in this game. And that's how that shit works out. At the end of the day, whoever I'm sharing energy with, whoever I'm sharing time and quality time and space, I'm sharing breathing oxygen, sacred fluids with, goddamn it, if you're not ready to fight for this bread, then I don't know what to tell you. You know what I'm talking about? If you're not ready to get out here and work with me to do what? To do whatever we envision. If it's taking over the world or destroying it like Thanos, goddammit, you better be on board and play the game or you're gonna lose me. Straight like that.
Everybody wants to disagree with somebody right now in this attention economy, as you say, because they think the attention is love, my nigga.
That's right.
Talk to the people that are confusing this attention for love, and then they still be miserable because they find out it's not love at the end of the day.
Of course, it's the same way that people who are chasing that dollar, the same way that people who are chasing that fiat, the same way that people are chasing quote-unquote followers, think that there's love in any of that, right? They are what? They usually end up on Unsung or Where Are They Now because they were running behind the wrong thing. They didn't see love in the eyes of what? That queen on the chessboard. They didn't see the love in the eyes of their children, their progeny. You know what I'm talking about? The thing you do, whatever you procreate that comes from your loins, my nigga, that's love. And watching them grow up in a peaceful state of mind and being happy, whatever you feel from that, that's love. Somebody following you, or you looking at your video go viral, or those little hearts that pop up when you on live, my nigga, that's not love. Zuckerberg, who is a neurologist, he studies the human mind. They lied to you. That's a psyops. That's not love, even though it's a heart. Your little doggy ears on Snapchat, you know what I mean? When you throw on the filters and whatnot, yeah, and the numbers start popping up. No, that's not love. What do they say in the laws of power? Be a spectacle, and you could gain the attention of others. So show me some nipple. Show a little bit of cheeks on your bathroom sink, you know what I mean? Show me a goddamn filter, put on a beaver face, and more people will watch it.
And call it freedom of thought.
Freedom of thought.
Or slut shaming. You slut shaming me.
I'm sexually free, you know what I'm saying? You could see, you could take a trip inside of my vaginal canal on Snapchat. Just swipe up. I got the camera going through my whole goddamn yoni, the Silk Road, my yoni road. You know what I'm saying? They're letting you explore everything. I'm dead serious. They got dildos with cameras inside of them now. So, this shit is crazy. So people are confusing. Narcissistic personality disorder. It is a it's a neurosis. It's a mental disorder. People are, who was narcissist, he loves staring at his fucking image. You don't talk about what is narcissistic personality disorder. It is the affliction that the majority of our people are succumbing to. They got babies that are 3 and 4 months. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. They have narcissistic personality disorder. That's going to cause antisocial behaviors inside of society. Go and watch the movie American Psycho. They're going to create a whole goddamn generation of psychopaths based off of not realizing and not knowing the science behind social media. And thinking that love comes from people following you, people watching you, people commenting. That's not love. It's almost like me being Bill Cosby saying that because the Cosby Show was viewed by millions and millions and millions of people and it's syndicated and I'm watched all around the world, they what? They love me. But you do one thing wrong in the eyes of the public and they'll hate you and they'll crucify you and they'll turn their backs on you when you get convicted in the what? Court of law. It's not real.
Crazy. Kanye
it's not
said
real.
When St. Pablo came out, he got booed. After he just did a big show at MSG, and he said it threw him off so much, he was confused. He didn't know how it happened.
Yeah.
Because he was so used to being on top, and that's what made him get depressed, because he kept trying to compete with everybody who he felt was being loved. So it's very interesting that you said that.
Drake came in the game and turned Kanye West upside down on his head, right? He came in the game with an energy and with a force and with a potential that this dude did not prepare for. He was comfortably watching the throne or wherever he was sitting at, and he had all of his little minions running around, but he knew that he could control him. Homie came in and knocked him off of his center. He knocked Jay-Z off of his center as well. So going back to what I was saying earlier, what did he admit to? He said that my ego got what? Injured. The injury of the ego. That's what the red pill movement is about. That's what the alt-right, that's what in white and fear, it's the injury of ego. They're feeling threatened. They're saying what? We're in a culture war. Whose culture? Your culture versus mine. Remember, I gave a dichotomy the other day of the world that we live in. It's very interesting. You have black parents that are trying to teach their children, their young progeny, about the dangers of the quote-unquote natural oppressor. Stay away from them. Don't be in their society. Stop bringing them home. But on the white side, you have them as well telling their children, stay out of our world. No, these people are not, they're savage. They're not sophisticated. These people are not worthy. But what are their children doing? Getting face tats, listening to the music, right? Streaming all of the music, going to all of the shows, doing all of these things. You dig what I'm saying? So there's a dichotomy, hold on, there's a dichotomy that exists. There's a dichotomy that exists in America right now that it is very it's you gotta be able to peel back the layers and look at what it is that you're seeing. Okay, but his ego was bruised. That's going back to narcissistic personality disorder. His ego was bruised, and if you bruise these people with these, he had a delusion of grandeur, grandiose delusion, similar to what we see taking place in multiple different communities on social media. So he had a delusion of grandeur, and what did the people do? They checked him. They made him look at himself in the mirror, and he probably wasn't pleased with what he said. A lot of the stuff that you see him doing is an outright rebellion against what? The hearts and minds of the followers who he did what? He said, you turned your backs on me. You helped put me in a sunken place. So now, what am I doing? I'm pulling the triggers on you. I'm pushing your buttons, right? He's pulling the quote-unquote triggers. So he's doing what? He's triggering black people. He's pouring salt on their wounds. He's putting his thumb in your wounds. Talking about slavery, saying, oh, I love Trump. Trump is my man. All of this stuff, he knows subconsciously, consciously, subliminally, that it's going to affect black people. And because they hurt his ego, he's going to hurt their ego. Hurt people, hurt people. And with that being said, love and light to the family. You already know what it is. Patreon /Red Pillar. KT is going to be in Nicholas May 27th. We're going to have some upcoming dates that we'll be talking about in the near future. But for right now, June 3rd, Brooklyn, May 27th, Brooklyn, Nicholas, Infinity Wars Decoded, free for everybody. Be in the building. Love and light. Peace.
Black magic, God, Holy Ghost, Lord, orgasmic, order more acid, more than 4 tablets, portal door passage, born before mortal war happened. We were lords way before we were poor black men. Now we like Catherine, only having 4 Jacksons. Swore to pure magic, slaughter 4 dragons. Heat like corduroy fabric, door-to-door tactics. Easy like tortoise on boarded floor backspins. Rapping like the man that created it, and I just play with it. Shine radiant, raising it, sunbathing it. Voice tone sharper than razor tip when I aim it at megaliths, make them raise and lift. You can't relate to this, even if you paint a pic of me and you and somehow make the faces switch. I like to babysit, throne made of baby skin, donated by natives that procreate in sin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Put the globe on my middle finger and made it spin. They gon' need to raise the rim, they gon' need a cage in that gymnasium. I play to win, Will Still Chamberlain. Even Damien and Satan is afraid of him. I heard the devil's Tasmanian. Raps made them spin fast, hailing winds. Abstract radiance, underneath my cracked cranium is gas radium.